Dante wasn't just any dog. He was a German shepherd with a calm strength and eyes that seemed to understand more than anyone else around. His handler, Officer Daniels, had worked with him for years. They were a team built on trust and quiet moments, where a glance was all they needed to understand each other. When Dante was assigned to Lincoln Middle School, Daniels thought it would be routine, just a new place to keep safe. That morning in Mrs. Carroll's art class, everything felt normal. Kids were laughing softly, brushes tapping watercolors, and the smell of fresh paint filled the air. Mrs. Carroll smiled gently at her seventh graders, guiding them as they worked on their sketches. Dante lay quietly in the corner near Daniels, eyes half closed. It was just another peaceful day. But suddenly, Dante's ears twitched. He lifted his head slowly and turned toward the far wall, where a large painting hung. It was dark and old, a tattered American flag blowing in a storm, soldiers blurred in the background. Most students ignored it, but Dante's gaze never left that spot. A low growl began to build in his throat. "Dante, no," Daniels whispered, moving closer. But the dog was already rising, stiff and focused. The growl grew louder and the classroom fell silent, the kids watching in confusion and fear. Mrs. Carroll's voice trembled. "What's wrong, boy? Stay calm." But Dante didn't listen. He stepped forward, muscles tense, eyes locked on the painting like it held a secret only he could see. Then, in a sudden burst, Dante lunged at the painting, jaws snapping. The canvas tore with a harsh rip, paint flying everywhere. Students screamed and ducked, some hiding behind desks. Daniels caught the dog's harness quickly, pulling him back, heart pounding. "What on earth is going on?" Mrs. Carroll gasped, hands trembling. "That painting has been here since I was a child. My father gave it to me." Daniels stared at the torn canvas, then noticed something strange behind it. A small metal handle embedded in the wall. His breath caught. "Principal Harding," Daniels called out to a nearby student. "Get her here, now." The classroom emptied quickly as whispers spread. No one could explain Dante's sudden reaction, but Daniels knew this was no ordinary moment. Something was hidden behind that wall, something waiting decades to be found. Mrs. Carroll sat shaking, eyes wide. "I swear I didn't know it was there." Daniels nodded slowly. Dante never barks for no reason. Outside, the hall buzzed with rumors, but inside, Daniels and Dante stood guard over the torn painting and the secret it had revealed. An unexpected hero ready to uncover a mystery that no one at Lincoln Middle had ever imagined. Dante's growls echoed through the room, low and threatening. The students froze, eyes wide with fear. Paintbrushes dropped, water cups spilled. The peaceful art class was gone in an instant. Officer Daniels tightened his grip on Dante's harness, his voice calm but firm. "Easy, Dante. Calm down, boy." But Dante was locked on the painting, his body tense like a coiled spring. Daniels could feel the dog's instincts pushing him forward, deeper into something only Dante sensed. The room grew quiet except for that deep growl rattling the walls. Suddenly, Dante leapt forward. His jaws closed on the edge of the canvas and tore through it like paper. The painting ripped apart, colors bleeding onto the floor. The class gasped and scrambled back, some covering their mouths, others clutching their desks for safety. Daniels pulled Dante back, heart pounding. "What are you doing, boy? Stop." But even as he spoke, he noticed something behind the torn canvas. A metal frame, cold and rigid, not part of the wall anyone had seen before. Mrs. Carroll's voice cracked. "That painting's been in my family forever. My father gave it to me. I never knew." She stopped, staring at the exposed section behind the wall. Daniels stepped closer, his eyes fixed on the hidden panel. A small, rusted handle jutted out, almost begging to be pulled. "This isn't just a painting," Daniels whispered, more to himself than anyone else. A student nervously said, "Officer Daniels, what is that?" Daniels took a deep breath. "I don't know yet. But we need to find out. Principal Harding, get here now." The tension in the room thickened. Nobody moved. The secret behind the wall was no longer hidden. Outside the classroom, whispers spread like wildfire. Did Dante just go crazy? Is there something dangerous behind that wall? But inside, Daniels remained focused, standing guard over Dante, who was now quiet but alert, eyes never leaving the hidden panel. Mrs. Carroll sank into her chair, shaking. I swear I didn't know this was here. My father always told me this painting was special, but I never thought it hid something like this. Daniels nodded slowly. Dogs like Dante don't act without cause. He's not just a pet. He's a protector, and right now he's protecting us from something we don't fully understand. As the principal hurried in, the classroom's calm was shattered forever. The quiet school facade cracked, revealing a secret buried for decades, one that Dante's instincts had brought to light. What lay behind that wall would change everything. The room was silent except for the creak of the metal handle as Officer Daniels carefully pulled it. Slowly, the panel in the wall swung open, revealing darkness behind. What is this? Mrs. Carroll whispered, her voice shaking. Daniels shone his flashlight inside. Looks like a hidden room. He stepped back, letting a few others see. The space was small, just big enough to fit a person, but filled with old file cabinets, dusty, lockers and boxes stacked high. Dante sat by the door, alert and quiet as if guarding the secret. His eyes flicked between Daniels and the dark room, sensing its weight. The students outside whispered nervously, the tension growing. Mrs. Carroll took a step closer, peering inside. I never imagined something like this was here all along, she said. Her hands trembled as she reached out and touched a rusted file cabinet. Why would anyone hide this? Daniels pulled open a drawer. Inside were folders stamped "Confidential," filled with faded papers and yellowed photographs. This school isn't just a school, he murmured, flipping through the documents. A photo caught his eye. It showed the building as it looked decades ago, with military vehicles parked outside. Look at this, Daniels said, showing Mrs. Carroll. This was once an Air Force administrative base. Mrs. Carroll's eyes widened. That explains why. This place feels different. But no one ever told us. Daniels nodded slowly. Someone built this room, hid it behind a painting, and for years it was forgotten. The feeling in the room grew heavier. Unanswered questions pressed down on them all. What kind of secrets are kept in these files? Mrs. Carroll asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniels shook his head. I don't know yet, but Dante led us here for a reason. This dog has a way of sensing things we can't. Dante's ears perked up as if agreeing. Just then, a faint sound echoed from deeper inside the hidden space. A rustle, a soft tap. Everyone froze. Daniels raised his flashlight toward the noise, heart racing. Stay close, he said, stepping forward. Mrs. Carroll followed, swallowing hard. I'm scared, she admitted, voice breaking. What if what we find changes? Everything? Daniels glanced at Dante, whose steady gaze seemed to say, we're ready. As they moved further in, the weight of the past wrapped around them. The school they thought they knew was hiding shadows deeper than anyone had imagined. And Dante's bark had been the first step to uncovering a history buried in silence, waiting to be told. The hidden room had changed everything. Officer Daniels sat at his desk, files spread around him, piecing together what they'd found. The school wasn't just a middle school. It was built on old military grounds from the Cold War. Documents showed it was once an Air Force base used for secret operations decades ago. Mrs. Carroll sat nearby, her eyes distant. I never wanted to believe it, she said softly. That painting, it was my father's. He never talked much about his past, only that it was complicated. Daniels looked up. What do you remember about him? She swallowed hard. He was a soldier during the 70s, stationed overseas. I thought his stories were just memories, but now I wonder if he was hiding something darker. Her voice cracked. That painting was his way of remembering things he couldn't say. Daniels nodded, feeling the weight of her words. Dante seems to know too. He's been restless since we found the room, like he senses more danger. The dog lay quietly by the door, ears alert, eyes never leaving the shadows of the school hallways. Daniels knew Dante's instincts were sharp, maybe sharper than any human's. "We're digging up secrets that were meant to stay buried," Daniel said. "And it's not just history anymore. It's alive, pressing down on us." Mrs. Carroll's gaze hardened. "My father warned me once. He said some things are better left hidden. But I think he wanted me to find the truth. I just didn't know how." The school board called an emergency meeting. Parents, teachers, and officials crowded into the auditorium, their faces filled with worry and confusion. Daniels stood near, Dante who sat calmly, a silent guardian amid the storm. "People are scared," Daniels admitted, but Dante's bark opened a door that needed to be opened. Outside, rumors spread. Some whispered about ghosts from the past, others feared dangerous secrets. But inside the walls, the truth pressed harder. Mrs. Carroll confessed, "I've had nightmares since the day Dante tore that painting. Shadows, moving faces I don't know, but I can't run from it anymore." Daniels put a hand on her shoulder. "We face it together. Dante and I, we'll keep watching." The dog lifted his head, eyes meeting Daniels. There was trust there, a silent promise to protect and uncover the darkness that lingered beneath the school's surface. As the past and present collided, the team prepared for what lay ahead. Shadows from decades ago were creeping back, threatening to overwhelm them all, but with Dante's watchful eyes and Daniels's steady hand, they weren't ready to give up. Not yet. Officer Daniels sat in the dimly lit room, the old tape recorder humming softly in front of him. The hidden chamber had yielded more than just dusty files. It held voices frozen in time. He pressed play, the crackling sound filling the silence. A man's voice came through, clipped and cold. "Subject 09 has completed primary adjustment. Cognitive retention is above expected thresholds." The tape paused, then continued. "Begin integration process. Long-term memory suppression is the objective." Daniel's heart sank. The voice wasn't just reading notes, it was describing experiments, cold and clinical. Then came a child's trembling voice. "I don't want to do this anymore. Please, can I talk to my dad?" The man on tape replied sharply, "Proceed, with cycle reset. No exceptions." Mrs. Carroll sat nearby, eyes fixed on the recorder, hands clenched tightly. That's my father's voice," she whispered. "He was part of this." Daniels looked at her. "This subject 09, it could be you." Her breath hitched. "I remember nightmares of being trapped, like something deep inside was taken from me. I thought it was just a dream." Dante lay quietly at Daniels's feet, ears twitching. The dog had been restless ever since they found the tapes, sensing the pain behind the voices. Daniels pressed pause. "They tried to erase memories, control minds, and somehow you survived." Mrs. Carroll's eyes filled with tears. "But at what cost? I lived my whole life not knowing who I really was." Daniels reached out. "Dante never forgets. That's why he led us here. He's protecting you." Outside the room, the weight of the past pressed down on them. Every word on the tape was a reminder of cruelty disguised as science, of a child caught in a secret program no one wanted to admit. "Mrs. Carroll's voice cracked. "I always felt lost, like something was missing. Now I know why." Daniels nodded, his gaze steady. "We're uncovering a truth that some wanted buried forever. But you're not alone anymore." Dante lifted his head and gave a soft whine, as if offering comfort only he could give. The bond between man and dog had deepened, forged in the silence of forgotten memories and the fight for justice. As the tape clicked off, Daniels looked at Mrs. Carroll and said, "We'll get through this together. No more secrets. No more silence." Dante's ears pricked as he stood near the edge of the hidden room. Officer Daniels noticed the dog's gaze fixed on the floor, near a seam in the linoleum tiles. "What is it, boy?" Daniels asked, kneeling down. Dante whined softly, pawing at the floor. Daniels ran his fingers over the seam and found a small panel. He pulled at it, revealing a narrow ladder leading down into darkness. "Looks like this secret goes deeper," Daniels said, shining his flashlight down the opening. Mrs. Carroll's voice trembled behind them. I don't know if I'm ready for what's below. But Daniels nodded firmly. We need to see it. Dante led us this far. One by one, they climbed down the ladder. The air grew colder, heavier. At the bottom, the beam of Daniel's light revealed a small chamber, walls covered in dust and shadows. But then something caught their eyes. A mural painted with childlike strokes. On the wall was a girl standing beside a dog. The dog's eyes seemed gentle, protective. The girl's face was hopeful but sad. Above them, faint words scratched into the paint read, "Still watching, still here." Mrs. Carroll's breath hitched. That looks like me. And Dante. Her voice cracked as she reached out, tracing the faded lines. They painted hope here, but it's filled with loss. Daniels looked at Dante, who sat quietly, eyes scanning the room like a soldier on watch. You're the silent guardian, aren't you? Daniel said softly, watching over this place, waiting for someone to find the truth. The weight of the secrets pressed down on them. The child's mural wasn't just art. It was a message, a reminder of innocence stolen and memories buried. Mrs. Carroll wiped tears from her eyes. This isn't just a hidden room. It's a grave for forgotten stories. Daniel swallowed hard. But maybe it's also a place for healing. Dante's steady presence seemed to fill the space with strength. The dog had led them through fear and darkness, showing them that even in silence there was hope. We can't turn away now, Daniel said. We owe it to those who painted this to bring their story to light. Mrs. Carroll nodded, voice stronger. For the girl, for the dog, for all of us. Together they stood in the underground chamber, surrounded by shadows and memories, and Dante, the silent guardian, stayed vigilant, ready to protect, to guide, and to remind them that even the darkest secrets could be uncovered with courage and heart. The news spread fast. What Dante uncovered was no longer a secret hidden behind a painting. It was now a story shaking the whole town. Parents crowded the school gates, angry and confused. How could they hide this from us? One mom shouted. Our kids deserve to know the truth. Officer Daniels stood beside Dante, watching the crowd with steady eyes. The dog sat calmly at his feet, silent but alert, like a quiet guardian. We're doing everything we can to protect the children, Daniels told reporters. But this isn't just about safety. It's about facing the past. Inside the school, Mrs. Carroll struggled. The memories she had pushed away for years were coming back all at once. I never wanted to believe my father was part of something so terrible, she admitted in a rare moment of vulnerability. But the truth is hard to ignore. Daniels found her one afternoon, sitting alone in an empty classroom. You're not alone, Carol, he said gently. Dante and we're here with you. Whatever comes next, we face it together. She looked up, eyes red but determined. Thank you, Daniels. I want to help the kids. They deserve to heal. The community's anger soon gave way to action. Teachers held meetings, counselors offered support, and parents demanded change. We can't let this happen again, Daniel said. It's time to make sure our kids are safe, and their stories matter. Dante seemed to understand the weight of it all. His silent watch became a symbol, a reminder of courage in the face of darkness. Children who once feared the hidden room now saw the dog as a hero. One little boy whispered, Dante saved us. But the journey wasn't easy. Shadows from the past lingered, and not everyone wanted the truth to come out. Some people want to forget, Mrs. Carroll said. But healing starts with remembering. Daniels nodded, and with standing up for what's right. As protests rose and debates swirled, Dante stayed by Daniels' side, steady, strong, and silent. The dog who barked at a painting had opened a door no one could close again. In the quiet moments, Daniels looked down at Dante. You're more than a dog, partner. You're a guardian of truth. Dante wagged his tail softly as if answering, I'm just doing my job. Together, they watched the town wake up to its past, ready to fight for a better future. The silent guardian's bark had sparked more than discovery. It had sparked hope. Just when they thought the worst was behind them, a new discovery shook everything again. Officer Daniels held a worn folder labeled Subject 10. Inside was a photo of a young girl, her eyes wide and scared. No name, no records. She had vanished without a trace. The town hadn't known she existed. Mrs. Carroll stared at the photo, voice barely a whisper. She looked so familiar, like someone I've seen in my dreams. Daniels frowned. Subject 10. No medical files, no school records, just gone. He looked down at Dante, who suddenly perked up, ears twitching. The dog's eyes followed a shadow in the room like he sensed something unseen. Dante's acting strange again, Carroll said, like he knows more than we do. That night, Mrs. Carroll's dreams returned with a vengeance. She saw a barefoot girl running through dark hallways, always hiding, always afraid, and close behind was a dog, black and white, different from Dante but somehow connected. Who is she? Carroll wondered, waking in a cold sweat. Daniels visited the school the next morning, worried. We can't ignore this. If Subject 10 is still out there, she needs help. Together they started searching records, old reports, anything that might lead them to the lost girl. The trail was cold, but the urgency grew with every dead end. Why would someone disappear like that? Carroll asked, frustration in her voice. And why did they hide her story? Daniels sighed. There are shadows even deeper than we thought. But Dante's nose never lies. If he's restless, there's more to find. The dog's silent watch became tense, almost desperate. He led them to places others overlooked, abandoned lots, empty buildings, forgotten corners of the town. One afternoon, Daniels spotted something etched into the cracked pavement near the old Southfield lot, faint numbers and letters carved long ago. This looks like a clue, he said, brushing dust away. Subject 10 was here. Carroll knelt down, tracing the marks. We have to keep going. She's still out there, we just have to find her. As the sun set, the weight of the mystery pressed heavier. The lost girl's story was unfinished, and Dante's instincts told them the search wasn't over. Daniels looked at the dog. We'll find her, partner, no matter how long it takes. Dante's eyes gleamed in the fading light, silent and determined, ready to lead them through the darkness to the truth. Mrs. Carroll sat quietly at her easel, brush in hand, staring at a blank canvas. The weight of everything they had uncovered pressed on her heart. But now she wanted to paint, not to hide the past, but to heal it. This painting won't cover anything up, she told Officer Daniels, who watched silently from the doorway. It will tell the truth. The story of those lost and the dogs who helped find it. Daniels nodded. Dante's bark changed everything. He helped bring light to shadows no one dared face. The brush moved gently, colors swirling into shapes. Blues for sadness, yellows for hope, and soft whites that felt like forgiveness. On the canvas, two dogs stood side by side. A German shepherd with steady eyes and a black and white border collie, the one from Carroll's dreams. The dogs are the silent heroes, she said softly. Watching over us, guiding us through the darkness. At the school, the hidden room was transformed into a memorial. Paintings from children across the country filled the walls, art that spoke of pain, memory, and recovery. Parents and teachers gathered there, tears in their eyes, finding comfort in the shared stories. Daniel stood with Dante at his side, watching families come together. This place isn't just about what was lost, he said. It's about what we've found. Hope, courage, and the power to listen. Dante sat quietly, tail wagging gently, sensing the peace growing around him. His eyes met Daniel's. You did good, boy, Daniels whispered. We did good. Mrs. Carroll approached, her smile fragile but real. Thank you for believing, for standing with me when the past felt too heavy. Daniel shook his head. We couldn't have done it without Dante. He never gave up. The dog lay down, resting his head on Daniel's foot. In that simple moment, the bond between man and dog spoke louder than words. Trust, loyalty, and healing. Outside, the schoolyard buzzed with laughter again. The scars of the past remained, but they were no longer hidden in silence. They were shared, understood, and faced together. Carol's painting hung in the center of the memorial room, a symbol of truth and hope. The dogs stood tall on the canvas, guardians of memory and the future. Daniels looked at the artwork and said, "Sometimes the loudest stories come from the quietest voices." Dante thumped his tail once as if saying, "And sometimes it takes just one bark to change everything." Dante wasn't just a dog anymore. He was a legend. The town of Fairhaven talked about him everywhere. The German shepherd who barked at a painting and uncovered a secret that no one could ignore. His story wasn't just about a dog, it was about courage and truth. Officer Daniels stood at the edge of the schoolyard watching children play. Dante sat beside him, calm and proud. "You did good, boy," Daniels whispered, scratching behind Dante's ears. The dog's eyes sparkled with quiet pride. The mysteries they uncovered had started to heal old wounds in the community. Parents who once feared now gathered for talks. Teachers shared stories, and the school became a place of hope instead of silence. But the memories of those lost still lingered, like shadows at dusk. Daniels thought about Mrs. Carroll and the lost girl, Subject 10. "We didn't find all the answers," he said softly, "but we found enough to bring light where there was darkness." A little girl approached, holding a drawing of a dog and a girl standing side by side. She smiled shyly. "Is this Dante?" she asked. Daniels nodded. "He's more than just a dog. He's a silent guardian." The girl looked up at Dante, who wagged his tail gently. "He helped us, didn't he?" she whispered. Daniels smiled. "Yes, he did. Sometimes the loudest truths come in the quietest ways." At a town meeting, Daniels spoke to the crowd. "Dante's bark reminded us that no secret can stay hidden forever. Some stories want to be told, and some voices, no matter how soft, demand to be heard." The community clapped, some with tears in their eyes. Dante sat still, a steady presence amidst the crowd. His bark had changed everything, not just by uncovering a secret, but by inspiring people to face the past and move forward. As the sun set over Fairhaven, Daniels and Dante walked home together. "You saved more than a schoolboy," Danielsy said. "You saved a town's soul." Dante looked up, eyes full of trust. He was the silent guardian who never gave up, reminding everyone that some truths, no matter how deeply buried, will always find a way to be heard. And with that, the town knew they would never forget the bark that changed everything.